So my interest in Blanket Fort Hope really goes all the way back to my core, because at my core I'm about protection. I think that's been true about me since childhood. Certainly true as I chose a career, and I spent my biggest career with the Secret Service, 24 years, transitioned in 2020 to Regions, where I continued that whole protection mantra with corporate security and now in operational risk. But the need to protect just seems to be knitted in me. And so when we moved here, my wife and I were looking for opportunities to plug in. And so we moved from Washington, D.C., and didn't know anyone here. My wife plugged into a Bible study, and Alexa James came to speak at her Bible study one day. And my wife came home with some material from Blanket Fort Hope, and she said, "You're going to want to look at this." And she said that because when I was with the Secret Service, I applied for a fellowship on Capitol Hill, and I was assigned as a staffer to the Senate Judiciary Committee. And to make a long story short, I put together a bill that dealt with sex offenders, and we were trying to go after sex offenders and fill some of the gaps between some of the state laws and the federal laws. And by the time we were done, we had put together the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act that President Bush signed into law in 2006. And so that really got me started. I learned more than I wanted to know about sex offenders, sex trafficking, the abuse of children. But in the process of doing that, I got very connected with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And that connection remained in 2020 when I retired from the Secret Service. John Walsh nominated me to be on the board at the National Center, and so I've served on the board since 2020. And so coming here, I just wanted to continue that, but I wanted to do something more local. After Sandra heard from Alexa at her Bible study, we were in church the following Sunday, and no coincidence, up on the board at our church was the logo for Blanket Fort Hope, and that was the Sunday that our church chose to pray for Blanket Fort Hope. And so my wife and I looked at each other, and I said, "I hear you," and I just think it was a God-ordained moment. And Sandra and I decided that we would just email Alexa and say, "Let's get together for lunch and let's talk about where you're coming from and what you're doing. And if I'm going to spend my time and energy, I want to make sure that it is a worthwhile effort." We listened to Alexa, we heard her heart, and decided that we wanted to get involved. And I think what really impressed me was that Alexa's got a heart for the whole world. She's got a huge heart, but her time, her effort, and all the money that is being raised for Blanket Fort Hope goes right here. So it's staying right here in Alabama. We're not trying to save the world. We're trying to give kids a place where they can go that's safe. And so there are 5,000 children or more trafficked right here in Alabama every year. And we're not trying to save all 5,000 kids. We're trying to take one at a time, put a blanket around them, usher them into a fortress where they're safe, where they can receive counseling and treatment, and then offer them hope. Hope that they may never have had anywhere else. Hope that they may never have even heard about in the environment that they grew up in. And so Blanket Fort Hope stands in that gap and says, we want to take care of one child at a time. And that's why my heart beats for Blanket Fort Hope.